Okay,
That's
Cheese,
pressure.
don't freeze up because the camera's on now. I
that's
see
right.
you getting all uncomfortable. It's starting to change up. Everybody thinks they're about it until that red light comes on.
That's right.
Gosh,
That's
big
right.
We're
guy.
about to find out from you.
Okay, well, welcome to the Three Beans Pod. I'm your host, Eric Granado. I am here with Justin, JC Clark, Patrick, Rooster Kanye, and Hunter Cheese Greenwood. I'm here to make sure that this doesn't completely go off the rails. The first thing I want to kind of discuss with you guys today, let's kind of address the big elephant in the room. Iowa just beat Nebraska last night in basketball, 77-71 in the Sweet 16. Iowa beat Nebraska in football this year, 40-16. And according to agriculture.com, Iowa edged Nebraska in corn and soybean yield. So, with those three data points, football, basketball, and farming, Nebraska keeps losing to Iowa at this rate. At what point does it?
I feel
At
like
what?
Nebraska had to win that one.
They whooped that butt. I guarantee it.
That's right. So, at what point does Nebraska just accept it?
Oof. And I'm gonna let one of y'all go first. You're
It's a
gonna upset
beast.
some folks. Here's the hard part about that question. It's like, have y'all ever seen SB Pod? So Scott Van Pelt's got his own podcast, and they do a deal where they call it. They don't know anything about farming, obviously, and they call those two states when they fly over it. One is called corn, and one's called crops. So they call it corn versus crops. They don't know anything else about it, and we don't know which one is it. Crops wins or corn wins? We don't know. They don't care. They kind of make fun. But Mutiny Crop Performance does business in both states. So easy. I'm not sure that I'm really ready to
Actually,
that's one or the other.
That's probably the greatest point, Patrick, because the part that's most important to us, I'm pretty sure Nebraska, as far as participation with mutiny, probably edged out Iowa.
That's where I'm going with it. So there's the fourth data point. So really, that's
actually the strongest one. That's the one everyone cares about.
Yeah.
I feel like they're both really flat because I've drove north. I went to North Dakota and I was driving right down the line. On one side of the highway it was Iowa, on the other side it was Nebraska.
Cheese went to Nebraska and Iowa one time, and now all of a sudden he knows the topography. He just called Iowa and Nebraska flat. Like they literally
your personality is flat.
They have to terrace their ground because it's so unflat.
I'm actually not even.
He's
sure
like, I drove up I-80 once. And I'm telling you, I've seen it all, and I'm super cultured. You probably had sushi in Iowa, and probably think that's the best sushi too, don't you?
Shout out to
besides cruise ships, of course.
Our boy Steve Churchill. I drove right by his home city, so
Shout out Steve.
I've been to Iowa pretty much.
Steve's ground's flat, evidently.
It's flat. I can't speak much on their basketball though. Apparently, not very good.
The best sushi I have had in my entire life comes from a place in Omaha, Nebraska called Yoshimoto.
You being for real?
I promise you. This place was, I was doing a little Reddit research on where I should eat in Omaha for a few hours when I had to kill. And some of the best sushi spot in the country came from this little place called Yoshimoto in Omaha, Nebraska.
Probably
I tell you,
the freshest right there in the middle of the country.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
No.
for sure.
This is ranked as one of the best sushi joints in the country, according to all resources. This was a pristine place.
What's it? What, Yoshimoto?
It's called Yoshimoto, and it was probably the most authentic sushi spot.
You need to
I have
had Bank Supermarket.
Dude, Banks. Listen, Banks Supermarket. You did not deserve that.
That's true. It's actually it's pretty solid. It's a pretty solid choice for Western Kentucky. Let's be honest.
That wasn't a slight.
Okay, I didn't know what you were doing there with that. That was unfair to Banks. If that was
good
shot.
sushi.
Yeah, Mr. Banks.
Well, Pat, since considering we're still kind of in the middle of March Madness, we got a few other Sweet 16 games on tonight. I kind of want to bring up a sore topic for you: Kentucky basketball. Now, for me, I'm going to talk about the hometown hero, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Okay.
I'm an Oklahoma boy. I love the Oklahoma City Thunder. He has achieved essentially every award there is to have as a star player in 2025.
And where did he go to college again? Where was that?
He went to Kentucky. But here's my question.
Yeah.
Here's my question. A lot of the Kentucky fans that I talked to, he went to Kentucky. He played under John Calipari. Why does he why does he not receive the same energy and love as the other alumni that came out of the?
He said who he was rooting for during the tournament. Did y'all see that?
Yeah, I did.
He said Arkansas.
So why?
That's a tough look.
That's a tough look.
Why, as a Kentucky fan, does SGA not get the same love that all the other alumni get?
To be fair, SGA was not SGA when he was at Kentucky. Actually, SGA came in, I believe he maybe was a 4-star, maybe even a 3-star, and he came in as the backup point guard behind Quade Green. And you ask who is Quade Green for a reason. None of you know who that is, but SGA kind of by the end of the year he took over and he became a little bit about it. But SGA also wasn't the number one pick. So if SGA was SGA, he would have been the number one pick, right? And so nobody really knew he was going to be this MVP caliber deal. So as a Kentucky fan, this is what we do. We kind of make excuses as to defend our Wildcats. So he did go to the University of Kentucky, and I'm proud of that.
Would you call that fair weather or bandwagon?
No, we would just say sometimes people mature. But hey, another example, Devin Booker. Devin Booker was not Devin Booker at Kentucky. He became Devin Booker later because he left when he was 19. So, Jace, go ahead.
So I could catch some heat for this for being from the state of Kentucky.
Yeah.
I will openly admit I don't know very much about college basketball. Live in Kentucky. I heard these guys here are crazy about it, but I find myself
easy fighting with that brush.
Except for JC up there, but I find myself actively. Because I know how much Rooster loves UK. I find myself actively cheering against them at every game, just so I can see his. So hold up, who do they play in the first round of the tournament?
Whoever they lost to.
No, they won first round.
It was the first round.
I know.
So first round of the tournament, they're playing
Santa Clara or something like that.
Yeah,
Santa Clara,
yeah.
And I'm watching the game, and I'm watching the game in hopes UK loses. So I'm up there, and then Santa Clara runs down. There's 30 seconds left in the game, not even that much, and it's tied up. Santa Clara inbounds the ball, runs down. Homie hits a 3, and I'm eating lunch at this point. It was in the middle of the day, and I jump up like actively cheering, and I was like, I'm typing it out. I'm about to dog Rooster. UK lost in the first round again, and I'm typing the message as Owe shoots a half court shot and ties the game, and they pan to this girl in the stands, and that girl's doing this. She's like, that was me in the lunchroom because UK tied the game up, and the disappointment that I had in me when they did that, just because I couldn't see my boy Rooster in pain.
Well, don't worry. The next game had happened. We're at home right now, so
it was.
It is what it is.
So. Yeah.
I kind of want to bring JC into this conversation too, kind of centered around college basketball at the moment. You know, as we're all aware, March Madness is in full swing, and JC, as a fellow UNC basketball enjoyer, I'll put myself in that category. You might be more in love with the program than myself. The latest rumor right now is Michael Jordan is rumored to become the next head basketball coach of the UNC Tar Heels. Are we a fan of this decision from the university, or are we?
I don't think you're going to see that. I mean, I think you're going to pack out every game for the next season if that was the case. But I don't see MJ stepping into a coaching role at UNC. I don't know. He is the GOAT. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that he would be the GOAT of coaching. But man, I don't know. I just can't picture that in my head.
He's the GOAT in NASCAR, JC.
Right now, yeah, that guy's
he's winning NASCAR races left and right.
That's right. He went he's a championship guy. That's just what he does.
I've got comments about this. If MJ wants,
but they're ridiculous, and nobody wants to hear them.
If MJ wants to be good at coaching in North Carolina, he better bring Scottie Pippen on as his assistant coach. Hey, MJ, if you're listening, ask Scottie to come help you out. We know how it goes when he's not there.
Cheese has got him on deck. He's been waiting years for this.
Yeah. So here's kind of another point I want to bring up to that. So if we feel like Michael Jordan is kind of a PR hire for UNC basketball, he's not really the answer to UNC's basketball woes. If he's not considered coaching material, but he's considered the greatest of all time, basketball-wise, why do we consider LeBron James a better coaching candidate for a future NBA team? Why is he considered a better coach, prospective coach, than Michael Jordan?
Because he knows ball.
Hey, just so you know, Cheese, this dude has openly said he's waiting for Bronny to win the MVP. Let's be careful about how much he knows about ball.
MJ is this mythical. It's all a facade that his PR team has built up. I mean,
shout out Nick Wright. Cheese gets all of his MJ topics from Nick Wright.
It's true. It's like you're chasing a ghost. It'll never be accomplished.
Goat. You mispronounced that. You're chasing the goat.
The goat. MJ would be in today's NBA. He'd just be a six man. You know? Eric said, I don't know.
I disagree with that. I don't think he would be at the level of a lot of these other superstars are. I think he would be up there in terms of the top players in the league. But what his limitation is his disability to not play the positions 1 through 5. In today's NBA, you need to have the ability to play every single position on the court and be able to rotate through every position. I don't think MJ has that ability in his arsenal to be able to impact the game that way. I think that could be his limiting factor.
Yeah, he's not strong enough either.
That's right. That's right. I also don't think his body could handle it.
My kids would call that rage bait.
Rage bait.
Look, MJ played in an era where the physical dominance, the physical stature that these guys had really dominated the game, and the pace that the NBA is played at now, you kind of see it with a lot of the injuries happening. I just don't think if you dropped prime MJ in a game today, I don't think he could keep up with the pace that they're playing at.
Shot. I appreciate that, Eric. Some true.
Some actual insight.
Some forthrightness.
Yeah. You know, from a guy that knows a thing or two about college athletics. Me and Pat.
I watched Eric's swim move. By the way, this dude is like
Dwight
Freeney.
I'm explosive. I'm extremely explosive.
I've watched some of your athletic ability, Hunter, and it doesn't take a whole lot to impress you.
Yeah.
Let Eric put a swim move on you.
He can put a swim move on me pretty easy. He's got me by several pounds and inches.
He's quick.
I wouldn't want to line up next to Eric.
No, look
across the line.
Look, putting me on Cheese is like putting a 1 seed on a 16. It's not going to be a lot of competition. Not going to be a lot of competition.
I kind of figured like. When was this? Were we at Commodity? Is that where we were at?
We were at Commodity Classic. That's right.
Seeing Eric, I'm like, Eric's a pretty fit guy. Big. He looks like he played football, but I never asked him. Didn't know. And we're at Commodity Classic, and he's like, he just walks up to me out of nowhere and just swim moves the brakes off of me. I'm like, that was so fast, Eric. You play college ball. He's like, yeah, dude.
That's taught. That's learned.
You have to play angry, Cheese, and that's why you didn't make it.
It was
far.
Aggressive. It kind of hurt my arm a little bit. He smacked my arm pretty hard.
Well, you learned a lesson that day. To if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
That's right.
That's right. I do want to transition this podcast into some farming topics for you guys. But the hot topic around farming today, as with every year in the history of farming, is how do you actually make money doing this thing? So, real talk here, farming. How do you make money doing this in 2026? Because input costs aren't dropping, commodity prices aren't cooperating. What's the actual answer here? So, Patrick,
first stab at that.
Yeah, you get.
Oh,
listen.
Okay. Well, let me just say something. Mutiny Crop Performance does not condone that behavior. Okay, that was not the answer. No, man. I mean, that's what everybody wants to talk about right now. For anyone to say that there's one clear-cut answer to that, I think they're being maybe a little bit not necessarily foolish, but definitely misguided in that.
Yeah, there's definitely not one answer. I mean, we see that all across. We've had the good fortune of being able to talk and work with several different growers across the country, and it's very different. It's very different from North Carolina to Kansas and down in Georgia and Florida up to everybody farms a little different. Everybody's operations look a little different. The legacy ground, the stuff that's been there, how long it's been in the family, what kind of equipment you run in, and man, there's just so much disparity. And land rent, man, that's a huge deal. And then you throw in price of seed, price of chemistry, fertilize, all the things. There's a lot of variance across the country, and it's harder for some than it is for others. But there's definitely not a cookie cutter answer to that question.
No, I think just be smart, man. And I know that's probably not the best answer, but we have much more in-depth answers when we have when case by case, kind of what JC was talking about, which makes it difficult for a company like us to grow and scale quickly because we do actually jump into someone's operation and say, okay, your soil samples look like this. Your tissue tests look like this. Your yield goal is this. You don't own ground, you rent ground. Your equipment looks like, your labor looks like this. Now once we have the whole picture, your land rent, by the way, once we have the whole picture, then we can begin to make some, and I hate to use the word cuts, but we spend, and then this is how much we get paid for it. And either you got to get paid more or you got to spend less. That's the only way to make a profit in between one of those two. And so I know this, if you spend as much as you make, and if you got coming in, you're not going to make any money. And so that's the case in a lot of, man, what's been surprising for me this year, y'all, and JC and Cheese, you might have seen something different or the same thing, was when you sit down and you go through budgets, what has been alarming for me this year is the amount of growers around the country that actually don't know what their cost of production is. True cost of production, above and beyond just seed, to build it all in. Hey, what's it cost for you to put an acre of corn out? Like for you, not what the extension office would say in your county. For you, an acre of soybeans. Man, that's super important because if we missed the mark by $50 an acre, maybe that $50 was all we were going to make on 1,000 acres to keep the farm afloat for this year. And so, we've been very, very fortunate to travel all around the country and work with some of the best growers. And I will steal a line from Randy Dowdy that I've heard him say over and over and over. And I believe him when he says this: the difference between a good farmer and a great farmer is time, attention to detail, and level of acceptance, right? Basically what you're okay with just moving on from. And I've heard him say that a million times, and I see it play out there.
Just like you said, Patrick, it's kind of shocking how many farmers we talk to across America who don't know that. And I blame it personally on, I think their local retailers are doing them disservice. It's shocking to me here locally. We've talked to several customers before, and we use talking about how you can save money. We talk about 0% financing. Well, there's a ton of guys that we've talked to that are they're using their 8% operating line to put out their entire crop when they have 0% money available through whether it be John Deere Financial, Mutiny Money, or something like that.
As long as the price doesn't change.
As long as the price, yeah,
there's that
right,
old trick of I'm gonna give you 0%, but I'll mark it up 8%, right?
But they're like,
it's all relative,
and they're like, I didn't even know anything like that existed, and I just think there's some.
Well, we all know there's some detachment from what's going on in the industry at the farm gate. So yeah, kind of along what lines of what you're saying is shame on all of us on the supply side to not teach these guys or not to have a conversation with these guys about, okay, what does this really look like for you to make money? How do you get a return on what it is that you're doing? But then you the whole talk is right now is bring big ag into the mix, and what are all these things costing, and how come prices are low, but supply and inputs are higher. And again, that's a whole different thing when you talk about feeding the balance sheet and trying to make shareholders happy, and then trying to also work in a world where you're allowing farmers to be successful and keep farming. There's not a whole lot of connection there. And it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. But this is probably a year where I've seen it as much as I've seen it in my career, where guys are just, man, they're not excited. They love doing it. They love farming. And right now, loving it's really the only reason to continue to do what they're doing in a lot of cases. And there's some opportunities lately that's allowed them to possibly pencil out a profit with their, if they're doing the marketing right and things like that. But I get it. We do this every day in a lot of different situations, and we have a lot of discussions with guys about, okay, this is what you can spend, assuming that we achieve this yield, and that's what we got to do to be profitable. But there ain't a lot of meat there. Once we go through it all, there ain't a whole lot of upside. Unless guys got everything paid for, and how many of those do we see?
Unless you got stock in a certain company, I would advise. I don't know which one.
Here goes
this dude is going to shoot shots.
Y'all go figure out who he is. He couldn't wait. Episode 1, he got to shoot shots.
Diversify your portfolio, guys. That's how you can make money.
This fool couldn't wait till episode 3.
This is not financial advice.
Well, kind of speaking on the topic of guys not really love of the game, really keeping them in the mix at the moment. Another hot topic is kind of this right to repair. This one has natural heat, right to work on your own equipment. It's a big topic right now, and I kind of want everyone's take. But is this about independence, or is this about cost? Like, which side of the scale are we kind of leaning toward on this topic?
I don't know enough to speak on that, but I think it's ridiculous. If you own the equipment, you want to be able to work on it, you ought to be able to. I need to bring Brad in for this topic.
Yeah, you really do. He'd be able to speak more educatedly. But I think what everybody's going to find out with this podcast is facts are optional. Okay, so we're gonna talk about things as we know them. So you know what? Now that I'm thinking through it, let's not bring in an expert. Go ahead and tell them what we think, Cheese. Go ahead. Yeah, because that'll work. Right.
Listen, I preface that with I don't know enough to be speaking on it. Aside from if I want to work on my truck, by golly, I better be able to work on it.
You would think so.
You would think.
Well, so it's a balance. Obviously, we use technology every day, and there's a balance between, okay, what's our acceptance or what is our desire for technology? But then the flip side of that is the more technology, the more limited we're going to be on the be able to self-service a lot of the things that we do. And so what's the right answer? I don't know. I don't know the right answer. I do think it would be great for a guy to be able to have that option, have that optionality, be able to make his own decision. But I also know that a lot of guys can't invest in the equipment that it would take to monitor the technology that we have out there. So I don't know. That one's a tough one. But I can definitely see the grower's perspective on that is when things get tight, I sure would like to be able to climb under my tractor and take care of it myself.
JC, can you kind of explain to someone who's never farmed or who's a first generation farmer, why this specific, action actually matters on the farm, the right to repair?
Yeah, I mean, it allows you to control some of your expenses that otherwise would be out of your hands. If it's again, Brad could speak a whole lot more to this with our precision Brad. He could talk a lot about what these monitors and things are capable of, and what you've got to actually have to be able to facilitate some repairs on that. But the reason that matters is because you pick up the phone and you call your equipment dealer, whether it be Case or John Deere or pick your color. If you don't have the ability to repair it, then you're kind of at their mercy. You got to run. You can't just stop farming in the middle of the season. So something's got to happen.
If they don't show up.
Well, yeah, it can be a forced can. But if you want this thing to be up and going and you don't have the ability to fix it yourself, then you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And the reason that matters is because a lot of times that ain't something how do you put that in the budget? How do you know what that's going to cost you? We don't know what's going to go wrong. So,
but then a lot of this stuff, to your point, JC, is becoming so sophisticated. Not every mom and pop can be out there fixing this equipment. What if a guy's higher up in age and maybe he's not kept up with some of this stuff, and he's going to screw up more than So there's a balance somewhere in between.
Maybe we need a classic version. Maybe we need newer equipment that's a classic version that allows a guy like that to be able to do some of those things.
Maybe,
but a guy that's he's all about the tech and wants the latest and greatest. He can pick that one.
It's no different than a car, y'all. My wife has a GMC, a Yukon Denali, a 2023, and it's the 3.0. It's the diesel. Do you know when I take it to name your local mom and pop tire shop, GMC's got it set up where they can't service that particular model? It's only GMC. I have to take it to the GMC dealership. And yeah, it remains certified, and Cheese buys into all that. They give him another $200 when he's done with the vehicle, but he pays an extra $400 for every service. So it makes him feel good. But other people that can actually do math, you can run the numbers and say, I could pay for that. My point is, that's not just in farming. It's all over. I literally cannot take my wife's vehicle and get a $50 oil change somewhere else. Right now, it is currently at the GMC dealership because they require it. So it's not just farming.
That's the frustrating part is it's built into the business model now.
It is. It's the business model.
It's by design, and that's the frustrating part, or it is for me.
Well, Patrick, on the topic of right to repair, it seems like anytime we post something about liquid litter, we're essentially telling guys that they don't have the right to use dry fertilizer. So, talk to me about dry fertilizer reduction. We get a comment in the comment section that's like, are you telling me to completely replace my dry fertilizer? Like, what are you telling me with this liquid litter stuff? What is this snake oil stuff that you guys are pushing so
well, it is snake oil. I mean, I've seen Mutiny stuff. It's got to be snake oil. And if you've seen anything that Mutiny's ever done, you know that we do never believe in any dry fertilizer ever. Like, used to go for the next 450 years without dry fertilizer. That's exactly what we believe in. We built our company and the foundation on. No, that's not what we believe. Internet. Gosh, dang, man, I got to create a podcast. Here's what I know. Here's what I know about life. If you don't fill the void, someone else will, right? And so thankful for an opportunity. Thank you for the question, Easy. Of course, we believe in dry fertilizer. There's pounds of physical material that are removed from the field. They have to be put back eventually. We also believe that there's pounds of fertility that don't show up in a soil sample. And they're out there and they're locked up and they're not available. So what kind of things can we do to make those available? That's got to be part of the equation when we talk about being more profitable. Every farm is different. So here's what I would say. It's very, very, very silly to say that someone could go out and not use any dry fertilizer I'm going to say pounds of material, phosphorus, nitrogen, potassium, etc., for the next 100 years. That's very silly to say. But here's where I differ from a lot of the industry. It's also equally as silly to say, I'm just going to spread 200 pounds of DAP and 200 pounds of potash on every field every year in front of whatever crop I'm doing, or just in front of a corn crop, because it just is. I don't have the time to go into that today, but let me fill the void, internet. We do believe in dry fertilizer. What I don't believe is putting it out when you don't need it. And many of you say that you don't agree in not putting it out. However, I'm gonna argue with you. You variable rate your fertilizer, and there's times when that spreader truck drives over that field and it's not putting anything out. Why is it not putting anything out? Because it met the level of your acceptance or your agronomist's acceptance or whoever said that program for you. It met that level of acceptance. So it's not putting out fertilizer, which means you do believe in not putting out dry fertilizer, only where you say it shouldn't go out. And so again, where is that metric? I would challenge everyone. I am not the smartest agronomist in the country, don't claim to be, but I know a lot of people smarter than me, and we've had we have a lot of great relationships. Find someone you think is, it might be smart. The people that are building out your fertility programs don't sell you the dry fertilizer. That's what I would say.
Wow.
I'm going to put that on your Wikipedia page, Patrick.
And maybe I'm wrong, because we make a living selling stuff, and I make recommendations too. So I know I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth, but my challenge to everyone would be, I don't remember who I heard this quote from, but I believe it. When someone asks you why you do something, if your answer is because I've always done it that way, you're always wrong. There should always be an answer. I do this because of X, right? And so too many times, me and JC, when we travel around the country, Cheese included, he sells all kinds of stuff. We talk to people and they say, well, I'm just going to go do X because that's what I've always done. Gosh, that's so... The best growers we work with, y'all, around the country, I think you two would agree with me on this, they don't answer that question that way.
Yeah.
Again,
there's a lot of guys around that have had success doing it that way. And so, you don't call the baby ugly type deal is you never want to tell somebody, hey, there's been success on your farm and I'm telling you, you probably need to do it a different way. Well, I don't know that we really believe that, but I do think now that the landscape that we're in, we know better, and therefore you know better, you should do better, and we can probably make some more efficient decisions than we've made in the past. Look, I know I by all means don't know it all, but I know a lot more than I did 5 years ago. And we've seen a lot of things through tissue sampling and soil sampling and things like that. We've just seen some changes, and balance is just, I ain't gonna say just as important. I'm gonna say more important than levels. I can remember when I started this thing, the higher the level, the better I thought it was. And I obviously don't have the same opinion as I did then, just because we've seen some things and we've learned some things. We absolutely believe there's places for fertility, whether it's dry fertility, whether it's liquid fertility, whether it's litter or whatever. But I don't think you can use one of those singular things and accomplish the things that you want to accomplish on the farm long term. I do think you can fill gaps and do those things, but the better balance we can have with fertility and biology and all the things, we could talk about this for a really long time. And you told us this was going to be a short episode, so we won't get into it too much. But we get painted with that brush a little bit sometimes, but that's not completely what we believe. In some instances, it is, but not as a whole.
Okay, perfect. Well, before we wrap up today, guys, I just want to get this out there. We're going to have this segment. It's called First Round Pick, and it can be whatever you want it to be, whether it's a product, a practice, a mindset, a game you watched, something you ate, somewhere you traveled to. JC, get us started. What is your first round pick for this first episode of Three Beans in a Pod?
First round pick. Give me the options again. I kind of got
it can be anything you want. Whether you want to push a product for Mutiny, whether you want to push a practice, whether it's a mindset thing, a quote you heard, maybe it's a piece of bread that Kirby made you. Like what's this first round pick?
You know what? I'm gonna start it off right. First round pick is no Jesus. Because
dang, bro, man, you choked all of us, dog.
Everything that we're going to ever talk about on this is garbage if you don't. It don't matter what your yield is. It don't matter whose team wins. None of that stuff matters.
Oh, and I was going to say lemon cookies, man. Dang, bro. I'm done. I'm cooked. My man went to Jesus. I'm done. Jeez, there's nothing. We got no first round pick. What are you gonna do?
Y'all got second pick, boys.
Yeah. I believe in the Trinity. You said the Son. I'm gonna do the Father and the Holy Spirit. Okay, one of them three, baby. Oh my goodness, Cheese is froze now. He has no idea where to go because he's like, if he doesn't do something around Jesus, now he's materialistic.
So go ahead, sinner. Go ahead, sinner.
Listen,
this boy's stuck.
Well, it's ditto what they said.
Okay.
Echo that.
I got mine.
And then I'm gonna go with I saw something today, this morning that popped up on my Facebook feed. It's an advertisement for all my short kings out there. It's called True Height. And look, I don't know, but I got some coming from my boy Rooster, and I've heard it's supposed to help you grow a little bit.
Hey, look, I got some for my kids.
We got some in the store. True Height.
Well, I'm gonna go chug some when we're done here.
And no, he's not 5'9".
Is Cheese even over? Is he 6 foot and under? I feel like you're like 5'11".
I'm 5'11".
Cheese is under 6 foot.
Yes.
Man, you can't even really talk at that point.
Right. Listen. Yeah, no, man.
You
Come
got
on.
a 6 in front of it, John.
That's what I'm saying.
If I got boots on, I do though.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, me and JC. We're clear. We're past that threshold.
Y'all clear.
I mean, come on.
I can't lie. I always wanted to be 6 foot and some change. I can't lie about it, but here I am. I'm actually standing up right now.
Wow. So Iowa wins in everything except Nebraska winning with Mutiny. SGA is not loved by the state of Kentucky, and apparently the path to profitability starts with the fertilizer program. So see you guys next week, next episode on 3 Beans in a Pod. Be sure to tune in to wherever you listen to your podcast, watch your podcast. We'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Peace.